Hey man, we're excited to have you here. Want to just introduce you first. So tell everybody who you are, where you are, and how long you've been in EXP.
Yeah, once again, Sean Langston. In Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm originally from the Washington, D.C. area, affectionately known as the DMV now. So anybody from that area knows about that. But been in Charlotte for almost 20 years, been in real estate for about 16 years, going on 17 years. My wife and myself, we had our own firm, Langston Realty Group. We partnered with EXP and John, Lars, and Stacy about been about 2 years now. But the funny thing about it is the agent attraction didn't start until we were about 6 months in. So anybody that's looking at getting into attraction that may not hit the ground running, like you can always start where you are. But it's been a great ride for us. We love you know the we love the culture. We really love the culture. Like you can connect with anybody on just about anything. As a matter of fact, one of my team members needed some information. She's about to have an opportunity to get 56 new listings with this new construction builder. And she was like, I never had this opportunity. I don't know what to do, Sean. You know anybody? And I'm like, I don't know anybody offhand, but I know somebody that knows somebody with an EXP, and end up getting Nathan Abbott on the line. And I mean, he just hit it out the park, like over exceeded my expectations. So it's been a great ride for us. We're excited, and we think we're in the right uh, we're with the right company, during this current market. So super excited about what's to come.
Yeah, man, it's crazy the connections that we have. And Nathan's such a giver, and so many people have poured into him since he's been with the company. He was able to go from 100 million to, I think he's on pace to he's actually having his best year ever right now. I talked to him last night and he was already at 170 million closed for
Wow.
the year. I mean, he's going to do over 500 million this year. It's going to be nuts. But he's got
Crazy.
1,500 new constructions under contract to list when they come out of the ground already. I don't know anybody doing new construction at the level that this guy is. So the fact that you have
Exactly.
that resource and can plug that person in, I think is awesome. Sean, I remember
Absolutely.
talking to you way back when you were first looking at this and coming over, and I actually still remember your why, but tell everybody what your why was, as it related to your decision-making process.
Yeah, so for the most part, and I know this goes for a lot of people in our group. For the most part, I didn't come up from a lot of money, and so I saw the opportunity that EXP had with the revenue share, the equity. I'm like, man, this gives us a seat at the table. I saw it as an opportunity to build wealth for my family and an opportunity to build generational wealth. So the next generation coming behind me, my kids, my grandkids, anybody connected to me, like they don't have to start from scratch like I did, right? So somebody, it was a guy, Joseph Trulio, did a presentation, and basically he said that he was the one in his family, right? He was the one that changed trajectory in his family, and I'm the one, right? Nobody gave me anything. My family came from humble beginnings. So that's my big why. So when I kind of get, down and out, when I get tired, when sometimes I feel like, the recruiting and attracting is not going the way that I wanted to go, I just constantly think about my big why, and I snap out of it just like that. So I'm really passionate about real estate investing as well. That's kind of my lane and my niche, because that kind of just leads right into building wealth and ownership and being able to pass that down to the next generation.
Nice, dude. Now your real estate company is it safe to say that you're more focused on real estate investment, like as a niche for your company?
Yes, sir. Yep, absolutely.
And how do you see, or how does that apply to your strategy when you're trying to recruit agents?
Yeah, that's a great question. Just under your leadership, Lars and a couple other people, and just going to the live events. One thing that I've realized is, you know, in a lot of ways, and I like cliches. So if you guys hear me saying cliches, it's just something for me easy to remember, right? Your vibe attracts your tribe, right? And so my authentic self is real estate investing, right? I know that real estate in general, real estate sales is about production. And you know, I'm not a crazy production guy, so I couldn't really lean into that and be authentic, right? I've sold a ton of houses, but I really wasn't passionate about it, to be honest, right? But I'm more passionate about real estate investing, and so I just started leaning into that. So what I started to do is, for, you know, in addition to the Tuesdays training and coming on these trainings for our agents, I do a training on real estate investing for all of our agents. Anybody that's in our group, I talk about that, and it's called Real Estate Investing from A to Z. And so basically, I'm showing somebody from the very beginning of how to run comps, how to evaluate a property, and then I'm connecting them with, you know, my some of my lenders. Then I'm connecting them with some of my local vendors to get the flips done, rental property. So several agents in our group have been successful. So that's what I love about it. For example, had an agent that would have possibly not listed a property, a $200,000 property, you know, it's beat up, before we talked about real estate investing. And I showed her how to take that $200,000 property that she wouldn't want to, you know, market as a listing and buy it as an investment property to flip. And she made $50,000 off of that property, a property that, you know, she would have made 2.5% off of 200,000. I think that's 200. I think that's about 6 grand or something. I don't know if I'm doing my math right. But so things like that are life changing. So I just look at it like, hey, look, you don't have to do a lot of them, but if you can flip one property and you can make $30,000, $40,000, doesn't that make it a little easier for you to let the gas up a little bit on production if you needed to? So that's kind of what I've been doing with the group. So definitely geared more towards real estate investing because I'm super passionate about that, and people can see my passion and they really lean into it.
How many people are on your real estate team right now?
Yeah. So my direct team, are you talking about my organization or my direct team?
Your direct real estate team.
Yeah. So that's the funny thing about it. It's just one agent. You know,
Okay.
it's one agent. It's my wife and myself. You know, she does a little bit of sales, but she's really the administrator. She takes care of all the behind the scenes stuff for me. Then I have one agent that came over with me, and he's been, you know, with me since day one. And so he's great. He does what he needs to do, and he's doing several investment properties. We actually flipped a few properties together. So just one agent on my direct team.
I could actually see you growing your real estate team as a means to agent attraction, because I think your niche is so unique, but it's something that everybody's interested in, right? So like agents are interested in it, they just don't know where to go and how to get started. It's kind of like the residential agent who's looking over the fence at commercial. They're like, oh, that looks cool, that looks interesting, but they have no idea how to get from A to Z. You've
Right.
got the group real estate investing from A to Z. I think it's a way for you to market to agents in the marketplace. Hey, come
Mm,
over here and we'll sell real estate, but I'll also mentor, coach, and train you on how to become a real estate investor in the process. And I'll help you
yeah.
flip houses. Like I
Yeah.
think that would have a good connection rate with the people in your market. Because let me ask you this. Give me just some basic numbers. Like in your Charlotte market, what's the average buy and hold real estate investment property going to run you? Like what's an average price?
Average price point to get in to purchase a property is probably going to be about 200, 250, you know, in that range.
Okay, so let's just use 200. And with the lenders and people that you work with, if I'm buying a $200,000 investment property to rent and hold in your market, what am I going to have to put down on that house to get into it?
Yeah, on a rent and hold, on average, just depending on, you know, if you're buying it at the right price, you're going to have to come to the table somewhere in the neighborhood about 25,000, anywhere 25,000 and up. 25 would probably be the minimum at that price point.
All right, well,
Now, let me back up, John. You know, because I was looking at more flip opportunity. You can get some buy and holds for a lower price point, you know, and so your down payment would be lower.
well, let's just go with the 200 for now to keep the numbers
Okay.
simple, and
Okay.
25,000 out of pocket. If I bought a property in your market for 200,000, I put 25,000 down, what would you say because you know this stuff inside and out, most people on this call don't. What would you say the realistic conservative average of actual positive cash flow after mortgage depreciation, all that stuff, like what would I, after PITI, what would I be looking at positive cash flow wise?
Positive cash flow, probably about $500 a month.
Okay. I think
Yeah.
that's conservative with what I know. So I appreciate you going through that exercise with me and backing that up.
Yeah.
Here's what I use as an analogy all the time in my agent attracting, because I'll get with people and we're talking about the pain points. We're talking about planning for retirement. And they're like, yeah, I'm going to do some real estate investing. I'm like, whoa, hold up a minute. I love real estate investing. I'm a real estate investor myself. But what I'm talking to you about with EXP is something totally different. And let me just kind of like set the table here for this. If we go into your market, Sean, and we're a real estate investor, we could expect to buy a house for $200,000, come out of pocket $25,000, and we're gonna have $500 per month of positive cash flow. Now, that's one way to do it, but the way I'm doing it over here at EXP is I'm having a conversation with somebody. I'm showing them a way to save likely $25,000 or more per year. I don't have to come out of pocket with any money, and I'll make $2,800 for that capping agent and every agent that joins. And oh, by the way, if that agent has a baby and recruits another agent, I get paid even more on that. So it's like, if you can approach it from the investor angle with an investor and show them, hey, there's no risk, there's no capital investment, and there's way more return than even those that are risking their capital investment. Now, all of a sudden, let's have a conversation and get real about what EXP is. And I think that's where things just become mind-boggling. It's like, hey, let's do both, but let's understand what we're talking about here, because it's very much an apples to oranges thing.
That's right.
You
Yeah.
use that strategy.
Yeah, absolutely. That's when the light bulb went on for me, right? As I really dug into it and looked at the opportunity, I'm like, okay, first level, you can get up to $2,800 a year. And so granted, John, I told you that on that particular property, you can cash flow about $500 a month. But if you kind of looked across the spectrum or what have you, probably the average rental, like I have somewhere I cash flow $1,200, I have somewhere I cash flow $700, $500, $300, or what have you. I would say the average is probably, for most people, really cash flow without Airbnb. I'm just talking about a straight long-term rental. Is about $300 a month, to be honest. Right?
Well, time out a minute. The reason that you and I are having this conversation is because your story becomes our story. You're a professional real estate investor. Your company's specifically focused on that.
Yep.
These are real numbers in one of the top markets in the country. If you're not taking notes right now, because you're all going to talk to somebody who says that their long-term game plan is real estate investing. If you're not taking notes on the reality of what he's saying right now, you're missing the power of these interviews. Because what I used to tell my agents that were brand new, and some of you are brand new to prospecting for agent attraction, I say, listen, man, you're part of this team. We crush it. And now it's not about you, it's about we. So we sell hundreds of homes. I don't care if you're brand new. So now we're on this call, we're talking to an investor. Now, when you're talking to an investor, you say, listen, a lot of us are real estate investors. We invest in real estate and what those numbers look like in real terms. And you can, this is open for debate. Let's have a conversation about it. But we invest in the Charlotte market, and in the Charlotte market, which is one of the best markets in the country, and attracts a lot of the top investors and, huge, multinational investing firms.
That's
because
right.
of how good it is there. You're looking at 200,000 to get $300 a month in cash flow with 25,000 down. So if that's one of the best countries in the month, and that's what it looks like, what's your game plan, sir, to get to replacing $10,000, $15,000 a month that you're making in real estate in the next 5 years? Are you going to buy 50 investment properties? Because that's what it's going to take. Do you have 50 times 25,000? What is that? I don't know, 1.5 million. Do you have that to invest in the next 5 years? And it's you just got to be willing to go there and go beneath the initial layer to have a conversation with them. Sean, one of the things I love about you is every time I see you, I feel happier when I leave you. You just have this, you're always happy, you're always positive, you always have a smile on your face. And I just think that your ability to go into the marketplace with what you authentically have is strong. And I just want to encourage you, brother, to do more of it. Because
I appreciate that.
Hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Absolutely. And you make a great point, John, because the light bulb went on me, went out, went came on when I saw the opportunity from the rental property standpoint. And I'm like, hey, if my average is 300 a month, that's $3,600 a year. I got to put down money. I got to have insurance on the property. I got a mortgage and all these other things. I'm like, I can recruit an agent and get 2,800 a year. So to be honest, kind of weird, but I look at every agent as a possible rental property,
Sure.
right? And just without the risk, without the additional risk. So once I kind of looked at it like that, and I'm seeing it on average with my revenue share checks, it's kind of coming out to be that average. It's the proof is there, right? The proof of concept. So I can talk to people more confidently about, hey, if you're a real estate investor, you can do this as well, and you can have X amount of agents, and you can have X amount of cash flow per month, per year for the next X amount of years and grow that.
What's the size of your EXP organization right now?
Right at about 60.
Nice, dude. What's the biggest monthly revenue share check you've collected so far?
I think it was right around about 4 grand.
Nice, dude.
Yeah.
Is that enough to cover your mortgage that month?
Yeah. Fortunately, I don't have a mortgage.
Bam. All
Yeah.
right. You got
Yeah.
spending money, you got shoe
Yeah.
money.
Yeah, but it takes care of, all the other household bills and other things. And so yeah, it's a blessing.
That's so good, man. I love it. We'll keep up the good work. We'll turn that 4 into 40 here in no time.
Yes, indeed. I'm
Um,
claiming that.
what would you say to somebody that's watching this, that's brand new? They just got started, they got their why, they got their reasons why they're doing EXP, they got their long-term vision and future. Like, your best advice to them on what they need to do, what would that be?
First of all, you got to have a big why. Like I have to impress upon that on someone to have a big why, right? Because there are going to be times that you're going to be afraid. There are going to be times that you're going to be tired. There are going to be times where you don't see the end, right? You don't see what the next step is. And if you have a big enough why, then you know that you have to lean into it. And so I would say the next thing is to do it scared, right? Like I just do it. I do it scared. I tell my team I'm not afraid. I tell them, I'm like, look, you guys might see me talking this, that, and the other, and I got connections. I said, but anytime I'm doing something that's different, getting out of my comfort zone, there's a little intrepidation there. Like I'm afraid, but I do it scared,
Yep.
right? And so that's what I would say. Like you only learn if you think about us as people, for the most part, even from grade school, we've always learned from doing and repetition. And that's what I love about these trainings that you do, John, right? They're all very similar. So when I first of all, jump on these calls to get your confidence up, to get your guidance, right? And so I used to jump on these calls all the time. And I noticed that everything you were saying, you would put a little twist on it, but it was the same thing, right? And so I'm like, hey, I just got to get my reps in. I got to just talk to people, right? Sometimes people are going to say, I'm not interested. Sometimes people are going to say, great. Sometimes people are going to say, well, let me think about it. Sometimes people are going to say, stop calling me. I'm like, it's all part of the process. I'll give you a quick story. I had a lady in my market, and she was a big fish. And I just leaped out on faith to call her. Really, I went in as I've heard about the book. I've never read it, but I went in as a go for no, right? I'm like, man, if I can call her and let her tell me no, then I can call anybody, right? And so I called her up, and I was like, hey, I'm with EXP now. She's like, really? I've been thinking about EXP. And I'm like, what? I'm almost like, and I'm like trying to, keep my composure. I'm like, really? Okay, you really? So you've been thinking about it. And why is that? And we just got into the conversation. Took me about 9 months to get her over, but she's a big fish. She brought like 17 members over. And then this past weekend, we just kind of officially announced our merger, our partnership. And she's on fire. She's been doing this for over 20 years, and she's ready to do something different. And so, like, that's going to be a huge impact on our organization. Like,
Dude,
she's ready to go. So You gotta, like Brent Gold says, like I said, I'm a bit cliche, things that I can remember. Your ego is not your amigo. Get your ego out the way and just reach out. Like my ego, I was willing to bruise my ego on that one, right? And it was amazing. I couldn't even believe when she said that. So I would say
The most amazing story, dude. And this is just you and me right now. Like you got that big fish, man. Like you got to get her to build 23.
I know.
Like, everything, like I don't care if she recruits 10 people next month or not. Like everything, when you get somebody that has that potential and that influence to that big conference, that's where it explodes for them. Without that, like you're just rolling the dice, man. Like, so whatever it takes for you to get her there, if you need help with that, you got to get her to Build 23. Build 23 is our next big agent attraction conference. There's going to be 5,000 people there. It's going to be in San Antonio. Somebody dropped the link to the Build 23 in the chat, so everybody has it. This is where it's going to happen. Our very own AJ Maida, our very own Lars Hedenborg are both speaking from stage. I mean, this is the next step for her. And it's like, man, when I hear about somebody getting an influencer like that, it's like always like just initially like, are they signed up for the event, man? And if you gotta stand on that line or stand over that line with them to get them to go, that's what it takes, man. It's like so worth it. You said a couple of things though that made me think like, you're gonna be afraid, you're gonna be tired, you're not gonna feel like making the calls. And without that big why, I'll explain the same thing you said this way, because this is how I think it might help somebody that's listening. We think about a big why and we're like, okay, that's where we want to go and that's what we want to do. But that's not actually, for me, the power of the big why. Having a concrete big why is powerful because once you can actually see it and feel it tangibly, then you can also see and feel what it would be like to not have it. And for me, the not getting the thing that I've envisioned is more powerful because Tony Robbins says, we move more away from pain than we do towards pleasure. So like if we don't have a concrete big why and we just, we want to do this and we want to retire and it's not tangible for us, then it's just out there and it's just a pleasure. It's just something that's in the future that's pleasure. But the problem is we have pain in the present, which is I'm afraid, I'm tired, I don't feel like it. And because Tony Robbins explained this, because we're more likely to move from pain than towards pleasure, we don't actually do the thing because we're avoiding the pain of I'm tired, I'm afraid. But if we have a concrete vision of the big why, now we can be afraid of what our life would be like not to achieve that. Yeah. And that pain will be greater than the pain of I don't want to call this one agent. So I hope that makes a connection for somebody on why we always say you need a big why. But that's what it took for me to understand the importance of a big why. It's like, no, I have to be able to like contextualize this thing and see it and feel it and how great my life will be when I achieve it, so that I could also feel the inverse of that, of what it would be like not to achieve that. And that will be a bigger pain point than whatever I'm going through in the present.
Yeah, that's so true.
Lars, I say this story because I think that we think like we always tend to look down on ourselves and our situation, and look like, oh, others can do this because, and I think that happens a lot with Lars, but like I was by Lars's side in the beginning when he was making phone calls and he was scared, whatless. Like he didn't, but like you said, Sean, you take the action in spite of the fear. I mean, one time Lars was calling somebody and it was somebody we both knew and he was a big fish in his market. And Lars called them and the person on the other end of the phone actually said, "Hey man, are you okay? You sound nervous right now." And wow. Lars was like, "I am nervous." So like, don't think that it's just you and that you're not good enough because you feel that way. We all feel that way. I get nervous when I talk to people that are brand new. I don't even know why it is. It just is. So like, just accept it and move in spite of it. Dude, I could talk to you all day, but I want to see if anybody on our call here has any questions. Does anybody have anything that they want to ask Sean specifically?
John,
Thanks, bro.
I would like to add something onto what you said. You said like when you see me, I'm always smiling and being positive, and that's on purpose. Like it's intentional, right? It's a reminder of I'm still here. I'm grateful, right? I like one thing when I lead my trainings, I lead off what's called a session called "Tell Me Something Good," right? Kind of like what you all do, but it's tell me something good, and I preface it with like having an attitude of gratitude keeps you out of this negative mindset. So having an attitude of gratitude, and so that's why I'm always smiling, and that's why I just lead with value when I'm talking to somebody. I got a guy I talked to yesterday. He'll be signing up, and he said, "Man, I talked to another agent that was trying to recruit me from EXP, and it didn't feel anything like this." He said, "Man, I feel like you really want me to win." And I do. I feel like if you get enough people, I know it's somebody that had the quote, but if you give enough people what they want, you'll get what you want. And so that's what I try to do. Just add value, keep people smiling, keep the gratitude in mind. Know that, I may not be where I want to be, but I'm damn sure not where I used to be. And so I just try to keep that in mind.
Oh, it's so good, dude. Yeah, and you do it, man. You do it. Let's see. Everybody's loving this conversation today. Awesome. Sean, what's one book that's really influenced you in your life that when I say like what's that one book, like what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Oh man, I'm an avid reader. I would probably say one book that had a huge impact on doing things tangibly is Atomic Habits.
Mm.
I like it because it was super practical and less theory, right? I think yeah, that's my thing right there. That's probably like in my top five. And
James
and I've
Clear,
and I've
baby.
read hundreds and hundreds of books. That's my top five. I like it because it's process driven. It's not concept. Like a lot of books give you the concept, but one thing I like about it in particular, it says like if you want to make create a habit, you have to make it easy, you have to make it enjoyable, and something else. But it has to be like some simple things, right? And so for me, something as simple as wanting to read more books and take in more information. I actually listen to my audio books in the shower every day because I know I'm going to take a shower, right? So it's habit stacking. So that's probably like one of my top books, and I've read a lot, but that's my top five. I would say you read that, that'll show you how to implement things from a super duper low level, practical way, simple way.
I love simple and practical. Simple scales, complexity fails.
Yes.
I'm absolutely inspired, man. I'm gonna reread this book. I'm flying to LA later this afternoon. I'm gonna bring this book with me. AJ and I have been talking personally one-on-one just about getting back to some of the basics and really, taking advantage of the opportunity that we have right now in the marketplace where people are scattering, people are scared. Dave DeSilva, you got a question? Go for it, buddy.
Yeah. Hey, Sean, how you doing?
Hey, Dave, what's up, brother? How you doing?
All right. Hey, I got a question for you about branching out into other markets. I know you do a lot of stuff in the Charlotte market. I see your marketing. Are you doing anything to branch out maybe into DC where you came from or some other local markets around Charlotte?
Yeah, that's a good question. I am actually. And so, I thought about branching out in my market, DC, where I'm originally from. But as I tried to do that, it kind of reminded me why I left DC, right? It's just not that type of place. People aren't collaborative in that area, right? For them, I'm not saying everybody, but it's just not that spirit of collaboration. So I'm like, hey, I've heard this quote like from the Bible, you can't even be a prophet in your own backyard. So uh, I wouldn't count on people that know you or hometown. So I've branched out in other areas. I'm actually talking to a guy in Chicago right now. And I met him through social media, some of my social media activity. And he has a team of about 20 agents, but he's a huge influencer, right? And if he gets this EXP model and gets behind it, like he could blow up. So what I would say, Dave, is be open to connecting with people in other places. Like, I mean, me just following you, I know that you're big on fitness and being out and walking, jogging, like that's huge. I remember when we were in Mexico, like you and your wife, you were up early in the morning getting it in. And so there's a tribe out there that likes that, right? I would find that tribe, somewhere outside of Charlotte. I think you could easily expand that. So to answer your question, yes, my motto this year is I'm looking for people who are looking for me.
I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's sound advice, dude. Really good call today. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to share with us. Anybody else have any last questions or thoughts that they want to share before we wrap up here for today? Awesome, man. I know people are going to get a lot of value from this. So if you're watching this right now and you wish that somebody else in your organization was here with you listening to this, just go into the Facebook group, tag them, tell them it was fire, and let's get Sean's message out there and let a lot of people hear and benefit from it and be motivated by it to work through their own fears and their own struggles to take that action. Sean, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you and excited for your growth here this coming year.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you guys. Have a good one.
You too.
All right. Take care.
See you, Stacy.